Lovely. Thank you, everyone, for obviously inviting me to do this. A bit impromptu in a way because I'm sitting in a field. What wonderful weather we've had up to today. Yeah, great. Raining all weekend, apparently. Here I am in my medieval tent. I thought I would tell you all about the wonderful day which I'm running tomorrow, because it's an event which we run at least once a month in a normal year throughout the summer and spring. An awful lot of effort goes into it, so we don't run it in the winter because we want all our punters to have a wonderful time. So to set the scene, in the year 1346 was quite an important battle in English history. It was us versus the French, our age-old enemy, and the English and the Welsh stood on a hill adjacent to the forest of Cressy. And the French saw the English, a bunch of peasants who were unwashed and filthy, and they were absolutely repulsed. They were disgusted by the smell, if nothing else, and they ordered their crossbowmen to march up the hill and take care of the disgusting peasants holding sticks. And they shot their bolts to little effect, and on the command of knock, stretch, and loose, 7,000 English archers let go of 7,000 arrows. And those arrows climbed into the sky, traveling at about 150 miles an hour. When those arrows started to fall, the French chroniclers at the other end, who were busy writing down what was happening in the battle for certainly our purposes later, they actually said that the arrow storm was so thick that it blotted out the sun and the skies turned dark with arrows. And as the sun catched on the shiny, sharpened metal steel tips of those arrows, a lightning strike glittered across the clouds. And then finally the thud of rain as these projectiles started to fall. The Battle of Cressy is probably one of my favourite stories to tell, for good reason, because lots of crazy, interesting stuff happens. And it's what we base the day on. So tomorrow, our 1346 experience is taking a small exclusive group through the battle for a full day. It starts at 10 a.m. and we welcome people on site. Now, the instructors, we're all dressed up. We all wear the 14th century clothing. And it's really, really important to us that we actually get people to buy into this. We want everybody to have this immersive experience with us. So the first thing they do, coming to our camp here, is we make them look the part. So we get them to wear a tunic. Let's pop it on. Nice and easy. Green and white, Archer's colours. They get a belt round their waist to hold it all together, and they get a money bag as well. Now, inside the money bag is some 5 single handmade pennies. And that's the currency of the day. That's their wages. That's the actual wages an archer would get back in the day. And they need that money because they need to barter for things on the way. They may need to buy more arrows. They certainly will have to buy lunch, which is included. I'll talk about the lunch in a bit. We also make them look like military archers. If I can reach that, there we are. Bassinet. It's made out of foam, believe it or not. Nice and light, nice and cool, nice and flexible. One size fits all. And then finally, apart from the bow, of course, they get issued with standard issue kit for archers, a sword and buckler, because they're going to need that as well. And we teach them how to use these. Now, these are also foam. They might look like kids' toys, but it's amazing how many adults like to beat each other around the head with them. So once they're kitted up, they're issued with an English longbow. And we take them through the training process, which a medieval archer would have learnt 600 years ago. And then we take them on this journey around the site. We're on this wonderful site. If I walk out a bit further, excuse the mess of the background, I'm still setting up. So there's my tent, which I've been sitting in, and my flags. And we shall basically set up a course. It's called a roving mark, and it's a bit like playing golf, but with arrows. So we would literally set up a series of markers around the site, and we'll go on a journey. And throughout that journey, we tell a first-person story of the campaign leading up to the battle. By the time we hit lunch, they should be quite seasoned, and they should be not only have an empty stomach, but they should also be pretty proficient with a bow. Lunch is served in a traditional way. So we've got an on-site caterer who comes and cooks with a fire pit under the trees here in this location. And it's a authentic lunch. It's a hot pottage, which is vegan friendly and gluten-free friendly. And it's basically a stew type broth. For the meat eaters, we serve a nice big joint of meat, and everyone digs into that. It's actually all served on authentic dishes as well, so we don't spare anything. In the afternoon, the battlefield is set up in the corner behind here. Long distance shooting. We get them to establish their shooting lines by actually taking my big hammer you saw earlier and bashing in great big wooden stakes like you see in the films, because they really did do that. Once the battle lines are fully established, we put the French lines out as well. So flags representing every single nation which was involved on the French army. And at the very center of that cluster is our target. There he is. He's quite happy in the tent at the moment, but he won't be tomorrow. So that's Rusty. Again, mannequin, it's all made out of foam. All that armor is foam. So it will take arrows, and we want people to put holes in him. As simple as that. So throughout the day, they get rewarded. War is worth money. They get the silver coins to put in their bag. If they don't do so well, they might get fined, because if they certainly lose or break one of my handmade arrows, they're certainly going to lose some money. It teaches them to look after their stuff. But towards the end of the day, they basically count up everything which is in their money bag. There's bonuses available for them as well. It's not all about hitting targets and so on. We play lots of different games as well, including the sword fighting. But whoever has the most wins the grand prize, which you guys, if you follow my social media, no doubt you have seen my grand prize. It's very spectacular. The absolute coveted golden arrow. If it was sunny, it would look even better on the camera. But let's oh, there's my camera. There we go. Zoom in on that. Handmade in the same way we make normal arrows, and obviously gold. But it's better than that now. That's what I was running with up to this weekend. We've also, as a further incentive to really encourage a competition, there's now a cash prize as well. So first place takes home a £50 voucher. Second place takes home a £25 voucher. So it gives people good reason to want to win. You get all of that in the day. Absolutely everything is included for £149. Now, I'm thinking about re-evaluating that. I've been told it's a bit too cheap, but I'm quite happy to take feedback from anybody who obviously comes on the day. If I have inspired any of you today, I don't normally aim to sell directly to a network group, which I'm talking to. But if I have inspired any of you today, I do actually have some spaces available tomorrow on a nearly fully booked session. But other than that, please do give my Facebook page a like, which is just simply facebook.com/NowStrikeArchery. And you'll see photos and videos of the day coming up in due course, no doubt. It's my absolute favorite session to run. We have an awful lot of fun with it, and we get fantastic feedback from it as well. So the sort of people who come on these days are a great mixture, from anybody who just enjoys outdoor activities, wants to get out in the fresh air and connect with friends and family, to people who love the pop culture, like Game of Thrones, the Vikings show, Lord of the Rings, any of that fantasy stuff, because all those stories are based on history, and most of those stories and characters are based on the 100-Year War, which is a story we tell. So come and do it for real and learn something at the end, hopefully. So that's generally a snapshot. I don't know how much time I've got left, so I'd happily open up to any questions which anybody may ask.
Again. And what we're going to do now, Adam, is just sort of turn it over as a session where it's an opportunity just to ask you questions about your presentation, but more than that, just about what's going on in your business. And also I'm very interested to find out why you've made the decision to change the brand name and launching that, and what you're doing to market that. So that's my first question really is yeah, why the brand change?
It's a wonderful opportunity which has been mooted for about 5 years. So my new business partner, there's now going to be 3 of us as directors. He is somebody I've known for about 5 years, and he runs a very similar company with the same ethos and the same outlook. So we don't overlap in services that much, but we all work in the same field. And for all these years, we've come together, been inspired by each other, shared ideas with each other, considering we're rivals, you know, and always seen the potential for actually achieving more together. And of course, when COVID hit, he literally lost all of his turnover, 100% of it, because it all happens in the summer for him. And for me, I lost most of my turnover, but here we are in the fields. And it's given us the opportunity to talk seriously. And we actually said, look, we're both in the same boat here. How are we going to survive this? What are your plans? What are my plans, etc.? And the conversation evolved into, well, why don't we just amalgamate? Why don't we just pull all this together, work together? Both of us are bored and fed up with doing it on our own. It's difficult on your own. It's horrendous on your own, especially when this stuff happens. So, that's basically what formed the basis of the conversation. And whereas we're quite specific with our archery-based services being medieval, he's a bit more multi-period. So he'll do Roman activities, he'll do Vikings and Saxons, all the way up to almost modern day World War II. So it's opened up our horizon to significant potential for events and education work, which we were going into anyway. And it just seems like everything fell into the right place as a bit of positivity in this horrendous situation, basically. So yeah, that's sort of where we are right now.
Oh, very interesting. Thanks. Leslie?
Yeah, Adam, with your school education, just before I put my fingers out for everyone, how far will you guys travel?
Okay. We're national. No problem. So we will do a fixed price up to a certain radius, but obviously if it's beyond a radius, we tend to obviously negotiate the extra cost of travel. But apart from that, we're completely open to discussion. And that's
little schools and big schools, or is there a certain age group?
Yeah. Okay. Primary schools, we've probably got the strongest program in place right now. And secondary schools, we're developing actually a science-based history session, which we're calling under experimental archaeology. But it's not quite finalised. We're trialling it at the Mayflower School in Brentwood.
I was going to say, great sort of pitch to history teachers as part of the education. That's what I was thinking. It'd be really good, wouldn't it? Okay, brilliant.
The great thing about the primary, just to put a little bit of detail in, is we're not lecturing to the kids. It's not a show and tell session. We use this stuff here in children's sizes. So instead of putting like an adult piece of armor on them, which all they take away from the experience is it's heavy, we put something which is made to fit their age range, so it moves and it flexes in the way which it's supposed to. And then we take them out and we basically do a battle scenario, which sounds scary, but it's all controlled and it's all educational.
Brilliant, thank you.
Adam, companies, how big, small do you need to make it feasible for you to actually put on a day for them?
Corporate. My standard package, basically all of our sessions which we run for families, is all applicable to team building, team away days and outings. So as standard, 12 people is fully booked, but I'm happy to deliver private exclusive sessions for less than that. So 6, 8 people or so on. If it's small numbers, I'm still happy to do it. I just might negotiate a slightly different price because obviously it's the same effort which goes into it. If they want bigger than 12, that's not a problem at all either. We can work with any numbers effectively because we've got the resources and enough instructors around to deal with that.
Okay, all right. Well, I will keep that in mind and hopefully be able to send some people your way for maybe team building and stuff, because I know a lot of companies are into that sort of thing. So brilliant. I will keep my ear to the ground. On another note, I'm interested. I know you, Graham, just sort of asked you about your rebranding. I would be very interested in having a chat with you if you need any help with the photography for that. So keep me in mind.
Adam.
Perfect. Thank you.
Adam, you mentioned the costs.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, mate.
Oh, Alan.
Go on.
No, I'm sorry, Adam, you mentioned the cost, and I wondered what your thoughts were around that then, and if we can help you with, because you said 149 is too little, or I just wondered what your thoughts were on it.
Yeah, it's always a hard balance to get a cost right with a product, especially a service, I feel, and I'm sure that's something all business owners will relate to.
Yeah.
On one hand, does it sound quite expensive, £149 for a day out? On the other hand, with everything which you get for that money, the legitimate feedback I've had from people who've done the day actually said it's quite cheap. So it's always a fine balance. I've every now and again I invite somebody on the networking circuit to come and actually do it for free, and I then quiz them. So I got Ian Beard coming tomorrow, for example, Sticky Pickle. So I'll be picking his brains as a business owner to see what he thinks, because it's always something which evolves and changes. Ultimately, this day, which I'm hosting tomorrow, is destined for bigger things. This is something which will be dropped into venues, into castle venues as a bespoke service. So it's probably going to evolve anyway. That's the plan.
Adam, how bad does the weather have to be for you to call it off?
Well, this bad? No. Basically, the only time we actually cancel is snow,
Right.
or really, really, really heavy winds.
Yeah.
It's got to be like it's got to be up at like 50, 60 mile an hour winds. And that's nothing to do with arrows. That's to do with debris coming off trees. So
Right. Okay. Yeah.
it has to be pretty extreme. There's no such thing as bad weather, Brad, just bad equipment.
Very good.
Just as an aside about the question about the sort of coverage area that you work in, I've added into the profiles a little section where you can use a pull down to indicate how big an area you work in, whether it's just Essex, Suffolk and Essex, Easting, whatever. So if there isn't a description there that you need, I've even gone out as far as the universe except for the Klingon Empire. You can have that sort of added into that list, and we'll, yeah, whatever. Just what I'm wanting to try and do is just give people an indication of how wide you work. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Certainly for an education and event service point of view, we are national. Other services like the craft courses, we're specifically at our base in Essex. So because of diversity of the company, it's a little bit tricky to pinpoint it exactly. But yeah, we're sort of somewhere in the middle, no doubt.
Are you actually having to do anything special because of the COVID kind of situation with your weekends?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're not limited on space here, so social distancing is not a problem. I don't know if some of you guys would have seen the bows we work with anyway. The thing with longbows is they're long, basically. So you get a good bit of social distancing by simply having the bow sideways, because that's how you load it, you tip it over. So on the shooting line, you have to physically stand far apart. We just people throughout the session, that's the case. With the equipment, we're having to disinfect. I'm having to be very careful how I disinfect the equipment because it's obviously made of wood. With the leather PPE, I've got an antiviral, antibacterial spray which goes all over it, and if need be, it's isolated away from the rest of the kit. So we've got plenty of PPE anyway, so it just gets bagged up and it's left alone for a week, which is enough. So hand wash is provided. We've got alcohol gel, and actually, let's turn around. You might have seen the buildings in the previous when I did my presentation. Where are they? I can't see them. It's backwards. Anyway, there's a building over there. It's a toilet block. So there's sort of proper hot water facilities here as well. So none of it's a real challenge for outdoor activities. Indoor, like craft courses, we're just going to have to be a bit more careful. We've got good airflow. It's just obviously when you're sharing tools potentially or in an enclosed space. It's just a case of being a bit hotter on it.
Good.
They've got masks. He's got a mask on.
Where's the new guy based? I said
Nottingham.
the new guy. Nottingham.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nottingham. So we have got the contracts for Sherwood Forest. So
bad, isn't it?
we are going to be running exclusive experiences and activities at Sherwood Forest, which is great.
There was a famous archer there once, wasn't there?
That's a load of rubbish, never existed. Actually, we think he was actually based on a guy in Kent, an archer in Kent.
What? It's not a fox?
No, well, I like to believe a fox version. It's the most historically accurate version. No tights, though. We're not doing tights.
Then I won't come.
Oh, well, fine. In fairness, Dad, I would pay you not to come in tights.
I'd pay him not even to say that out loud again.
Exactly. Brilliant.
Okay. Any more questions for Adam? That was extremely well done, Adam. Thank you very much. And I think it's probably something that we should put on a board for future thought for a day out for the BYOL-Network as a get together. So that would be great fun.
We could do quite happily do a lunchtime activity stroke networking. I've done it for others, like Aaron Desmond, for example.
Well worth thinking about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this stage, I'll stop the recording.